Hi there, Neil from Diagonal Move here. A few weeks ago I put out a video in which I highlighted some of the challenges I have getting war games played at the moment. One of those challenges seemed to strike a chord with viewers, and BGG user Redcap came to me and said there is actually a simple solution to this challenge, and all it needs is a piece of board and something to stand it on. Here we are at my regular gaming space. This is my coffee table on which I leave overnight all my games that I cannot get finished in one sitting. With my war games, that is 99.9% of my games. The challenge that I have is that my cats have decided that these blue and green and red counters do make excellent playthings, and something about them entices them to a frenzy of destruction every time they come across them. The game on the table here is the first Jihad. It's one that has suffered probably the most of all the games that I've had out on the table. It's only a small game, but it's been smited multiple times by the paw of cat. So what I've got here is a representative setup for the game. I'm going to show you the solution that Redcap suggested to me and leave it set up for 2 or 3 days and come back and see whether the cats have damaged anything. The equipment you need to prevent your cats destroying your game is actually very simple and something you probably have lying around the house already. For my case, I have these glass dishes, which are actually dessert dishes that now double up as component trays or counter trays. Reduce, reuse, recycle and all that. And what you do is you place them around the edge of the board and then place something of a similar height, but that will fit in between the counters. For example, this building block here into the center, and then place on top of that a piece of board. And what I'm using here is actually the backing for the plexiglass that is on top of the map. Up to now, my cats have not damaged my game when it's been underneath this board. The first Jihad is a relatively small game, and if you had a bigger game that you wanted to protect in this fashion, you probably need a bigger and thicker piece of board than I've got here. This is fine for this game and similar sized games with the cats that I have, because they cannot see what's on the game underneath that board, and they basically just lose interest while still being just about strong enough to hold their weight. If you had a big cat or a bigger game, you would need to get a bigger board, probably some chipboard or even some wood that you would use to make a desktop. What I'm going to do now is leave this like this, come back in a couple of days and see whether there is any damage to my game. Okay, it's a few days later. Let's see if the first Jihad has survived a few days with my cat walking all over it. It's clearly taken a little bit of a knock because the top of the board is slightly askew compared to what it was in the first instance, but let's just hope that everything underneath is okay, and it would be slightly embarrassing if it wasn't, having just said how well this works, but let's see how it goes. Okay. Alright. There are no counters strewn everywhere. Everything is still in its component tray. And I think we're good. I mean, there's maybe slightly knocked just there. Just push that back, for example. But on the whole, I think that's a success. I will need to get a bigger board because obviously the bigger the game, the bigger the board is needed, and also the sturdier it has to be. In terms of these component dishes I'm using for the support, you can use wooden children's toy blocks, you could use books, anything that's level and allows the board to be placed with a bit of space around the edge of the map that you're playing on. Okay, hopefully that will help you as much as it seems to have helped me. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.